getting up with my husband and my neighbor, and we walked out of the meeting. And Councillor Johnson, you followed us out and stopped us and said that you will help us. We'll do whatever it takes to help us. When I was here last week, just by listening to you at this meeting and then at the council meeting, you're not here to help us. You said you're fine with it. And I got to thank you, Councillor Paulson, for your clarity and transparency. Because SEH, and not saying that what your formula is not factual or truthful, but if you had transparency and clarity, you would show us exactly each house, the formula, how you got to the number for all of us here on 8th Avenue. From being a public employee, we have to have transparency. We have to let everyone know exactly where we got from A to D. So my point is, my front yard, my driveway, SEH was there. I don't know if it was you, sir, or not, but, or whoever was from SEH, took pictures of my driveway because my driveway is not good. It got poured at the end of the season way, way too late. So my driveway is awful. And then the grass that they tried to plant is dead in front of my whole entire house. So it makes my house and the sale of my house terrible. Secondly, just along with Peter and them, we're planning to leave and move and get out of Virginia because I can work anywhere with my position. And my son graduated from Virginia, and he's a doctor. He will not come here. He will not move home because of everything that's going on here in the town. And my assessment, and that's why I question and want transparency, mine didn't change. I didn't get my letter timely. Pamela knows, we spoke on the phone. They had to deliver it to my house. So the Minnesota statute wasn't correct for me because I never got a letter, but all my neighbors got the letters except for me. Point being, if theirs went crazy up and mine didn't budge a dollar, how do we know that it's correct this time? And then I was looking at my abstract and the plots, and they're all equal. Absolutely every single one of them are equal size. Why is there such discrepancies from my house to the one across the street? You know, it was less than $500, whatever. But the still is, we're across the street from each other. Why is there such a discrepancy in the same size lot? So that's another issue. I just don't understand. So where are these numbers coming from? And then I guess my other thing is, I understand, I went to the city council meeting last week and it was very disturbing because I'm in a union. I know how everything goes. Sometimes you have to take concessions with things. We got up and left that meeting because the female councilors were being heckled from people behind me and to the side of us. And it makes me feel that what is the responsibility of the council here? We voted you all in. We want honesty, we want fairness, we want transparency. I feel I can afford this. Other people cannot. And I know that climate because of my job. I don't think it's fair that there's such a discrepancy for people having different assessments. It should be all even for people that have the same size lots. And then I believe the whole entire city should have to pay for this. Everywhere, every road construction. If I'm paying for levies left and right already. I pay for levies on my land that's north of Virginia, which is, I think, ridiculous, just because we're in the school district. I just think that there needs to be help. And Councillor Johnson, I guess I'm calling you out because you said that you were going to help us. And Mayor, you followed us into our house and were talking to us out on the street.
I delivered the letter to your house as well.
Oh, you did? Okay, thank you. But, so, I mean, there has to be a change. This has to be fair and equal. Your city public employees, you have to do something that helps all the other neighbors that I have down in my block. So, thank you.
Question. May I have your address so we'll send someone to look at your driveway?
Well, SEH already was there taking a picture.
Okay.
Well, and then another thing, I mean, it was kind of funny. When this was all going on, my son got married. And he didn't want to get married in Virginia, so he got married in North Dakota. And we came home from his wedding, and our light post out there was broken because the contractors hit it. And so we replaced our light post, and we had a discussion with the contractors, and they helped us with some of the other stuff regarding our front lot and the driveway and all that stuff. But I'm just like, our yard is still not good, so we're gonna have to resod our whole entire front of our house and fix our yard. We're gonna have to fix our driveway, because what we did is we did the top part of our driveway and paid out of pocket and hired someone. And then they just did the bottom part. Because they were only gonna do part of our bottom part, not the full bottom part. So we talked to them and said, can you do the full bottom part since you broke our lamp? And we'll just pay and buy a brand new lamp and fix it and do all that stuff. And they said, yeah, that's fine. The contractors did. But they weren't going to tell us that they broke our lamp outside. So, I mean, long story short, this just seems like this is a cluster. I mean, this is just, if my front of my yard was beautiful and nice green grass and no weeds growing, all over, I'd be fine with it, but I'm not. And I think I've talked to SDH many times and called and talked to the engineering office before. John Sullivan happened to be one of them that transferred and told me who to call when all this stuff was going on. So it's not if you really look at it and you saw the front of my house, it's not a good job that was completed.
Sorry, is it still that way now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and you can see it across the street too, because they left my neighbor across the street, her in the corner too by the light, has a big hole and a big divot and all that kind of stuff, so.
Oh, may we get your address?
Yep, right now?
Well, now,
sure.
or if you prefer not to, we can get after.
Because I'm a public employee,
After.
I prefer after.
We'll get, she has it. She has it already, so thank you. Okay. Okay, is anybody else in the audience? I guess you want to come forward, please state your name for the record and welcome to the hearing.
I'm Jane Foster, and I live right on a corner lot on 8th Avenue. And I want to thank the mayor and the clerk and the engineer for all the help you gave me in gathering my information that I'm going to and I'm going to keep it short. I was going to do a lengthy one, I'll keep it short. When I first got the first assessment letter and was talking to people in the neighborhood, it was, why are these amounts different? But then I'm older, my recollection may not have been correct. So unfortunately, you can't see it very well because it's on an abstract, but I do have the plat of the Veterans Edition. It may not be updated, but this was the original Veterans Edition plat. In this plat, and in our assessment area, there are aging glasses. 84 properties in the Veterans Edition on the assessment document. 52 of the lots that are included in the assessment records are the exact same size. So if you took all the corner lots and stacked them up on the block, they'd all stack equally on top of them. If you went down the avenue, the same thing, they would all stack evenly on the avenues. There are exceptions in the assessment area when you get on what I call the fringes, not a very technical engineering term, but they're the fringes. Those lots are different. But 52 out of 89 are the exact same size. My question has been and remains, why are they having different dollar assessment amounts? I get the corner lots have been assessed more, front avenue, street. That I get and totally understand. But they are not the same amounts for those. I did 8th Avenue and 7th Street, 6th Street, and 5th Street, the corner lots. The low value is 4,550. The high value is 4,926. These are all lots on the avenue, corner lots, exactly the same size. I understand the triangles. And Ellie did even give me more information, which I appreciate. But what you have here is a pretty much textbook case of lots being exactly the same dimension and not being assessed the same because this is applied to them. That's not fair or equitable. I have one more thing that I really want to read. And this is from the City of Virginia Street and Sewer Assessment Policy. Special assessments are a charge imposed on properties for an improvement that benefits the owners of that selected property. That's your policy. I need an explanation how my property, and I'm not the highest one, by the way, but my property is assessed higher than my neighbors across the avenue. Are they getting less benefit? Am I getting more benefit? We're exactly the same. And I will also say that, yes, the property she was referring to was by the light standard. They did a really bad job of filling that in, and I can't even get down to mow by it. And not only that, the sod that we received, I'm wondering, that is not commercial grade sod, it's field sod. I've got more weeds growing in the sodded section of my yard now than I've ever had. And some of them, I let one grow, it got kind of tall, in hopes that somebody from the city, when they drive by, would see that and go, holy, that's a tree. That's really not just a weed, and take it down. Didn't happen, I cut it down the other day myself. But anyway, that's my concern, that if you're gonna start doing these assessments, you darn well better make sure in those areas, this may not work in other areas, but in our area, it certainly will. Where the lots are the same size, I can't come up with a reason why you would even want to prejudicially assess some lots over the others. Any questions?
Well, I asked you to come to the meeting when I talked to you on the street there. because I couldn't answer that question for you, if the lots are exactly the same size, how the assessments are different. I don't know the answer to that. Does anybody have an explanation of how that works? Do we know? Ellie, could you please kind of give us a little rundown of that for Mrs. Foster and everyone else? Thank you.
Yes, so I'll explain it the best I can without having visuals, but the real basis of it, especially between 8th Avenue and 9th Avenue, they are not parallel. So as you head south, 9th Avenue actually gets a little bit closer to 8th Avenue, and then when you're going from the midpoint of the block then is shifting each block south, which impacts the assessable area, and when you overlay the individual parcels, the areas are then impacted.
So, thank you. So if we, for the sake of argument, and not argument, for the sake of a discussion, so if we just assessed everybody exactly the same, if we changed our assessment policy to assess everybody exactly the same, we could.
Wouldn't be changing the policy. You'd be wavering from the policy for this project.
Pardon?
You'd have to waiver from the policy for this project.
Right, that was going to be my question. Thank you.
You would not change the policy. You would waiver from the policy for this project.
And I appreciate that clarification. That's what I meant to say, and I didn't say it. So, yeah, we could waiver, or we can waive from this policy. But when we do that, we have to recalculate the costs associated with this on how we assess.
Correct.
And then, if the assessments, well, however that turns out, any additional assessment would be borne by the rest of the taxpayers on the general levy, which would cause our general levy to rise, correct? Okay, thank you. Yeah, please, Ms. Foster.
Do a little rebuttal on that. I realize that that is not following your assessment policy with the triangles. However, then, is that not a flaw in your assessment policy when you have a platted area that has the exact same dimensional lots?
What's platted and what's actual is not always the same.
I have a survey of mine, she has a survey of hers.
Perfect. And it's square footage.
Independent.
So it's a little bit different. Like Ellie was saying, the 8th and 9th Avenues don't line up exactly. So it's a little bit different.
What difference does it make if 8th Avenues and 9th Avenue doesn't line up?
'Cause
If the property owned, the house that I'm in, my parents, my dad was a veteran, original owner. I'm only the second owner of the house. My father got a 50 by 120 foot lot. It has stayed a 50 by 120 foot lot. Nothing has been added to it, nothing has been subtracted from it. When I did a project and we'll put a fence up on my property, the city required that I get a survey. My lot is 50 by 120. It is no further in the assessment district. It is part of it like every other 50 by 120 foot lot. I understand finding the center point. You did a good job explaining that. I mean, and she was very helpful. But the bottom line is, if her lot or her assessment is less, mine is more, theirs is more, theirs is less, theirs is higher. We have the same size lots. That is prejudicial, and I would say, in a case where you have a plat with equal lots, it's showing that your triangle is skewing the results. Equal is equal. And if you're not assessing equally, you're prejudicial. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Paulson?
Thank you, Mayor. So I do have a couple questions. First of all, who figures out the assessment on the formula? Is that SEH? Is that how, so you take are you using the GIS system or or what?
Yeah, we take the GIS info from County Land Explorer and then apply the city policy to that to determine everyone's individual assessment area for the avenues.
So in your opinion, is that triangulation skewing and changing the outcome, even though the lots are the same square footage, no matter how eighth and ninth run and how close they get together? If the square footage is still the same square footage, I understand what you're saying. It should be according to what the policy is. So is that triangulation skewing on the avenue side?
There's a variety of ways to answer that, I guess. In short, the triangles do not take into account any individual parcel size, whether it's standard or not. It simply just finds the intersecting road, typically that alley, and the midpoint of the block. So if the roads aren't parallel, it will change. And then when you look at the individual lots, so the triangles do vary. Whether or not that skews it can be a question, because my understanding of the theory behind your policy is if you live in the middle of the block, it's a 50-50 option that you will use either avenue. If you live on the corner of the block, you're much more likely to use that avenue rather than traveling down the block and use the other avenue. So that's a personal opinion, I guess, on whether or not it skews.
And that's factored in, that's weighed into how this assessment is weighted?
I'm not sure I understand.
Like, are you kind of speculating how, what routes people will take if they live in such and
No,
such?
the theory of the policy, the way the
Yeah.
policy was created back, that triangular practice has been in our policy since 1970-something on avenues. So it just, that's the way that they thought of that back when they created that triangular on avenue policy.
Okay, now we have the digital capabilities we have with GIS that can track basically exact square footage and how, okay, so you can correct me if I'm wrong, but what we would need to do is vary from the policy, then we would need to change the policy so that it is not, so it is fair and equitable, however that might, whatever that might look like, and maybe have some discussion upon that. Okay, so that was my first thought. Second thought is, so who was the general contractor on this project?
Casper Construction,
Casper, and we are just about to pay them their final pay estimate, item 5 tonight.
Correct.
Okay, and do we have the subcontractors that actually would have been responsible for sod and driveway? Do we know who those subs were?
I'm sorry. Matt, he can handle this.
So the short answer is you contracted with Casper Construction. There's a list of subcontractors that they used. I can get the list. I don't have them. Knife Lake Concrete was the one you're referring to.
Okay.
End of the day, they're the general's responsibility. The
That's
general
their
is your
liability,
responsibility
their
as a city.
Responsibility.
We can certainly go out and look at some of these issues. The thing that I want to point out, and I'm not suggesting that anybody here is coming forward complaining about something they shouldn't complain about and shouldn't be unhappy about. So I haven't seen the situation, so I don't know. When it comes to the sod, when it comes to some of these types of things, the contractor's responsible for it for 30 days after they put it down to make sure it grows. And then everybody walks through it. If the sod is growing, if everything looks like it should, then it ends up being accepted and then the property owners take that back over. That said, if there's some issues that have been ongoing, and that sod on 8th Avenue was put down 2 years ago, not this summer, the summer prior.
But I mean, was there criteria put in place about the quality of the sod and, you know,
Yeah,
the
it's,
grade, the
yep, there are
difference of the
specifications
grade?
for the sod, yep.
So would we have the ability to go back and assess what they actually did install and put in there?
We can go look at the areas that were sodded, yep.
Okay.
Yeah, we can go back and look at it. Again,
And I
it's,
mean, I guess, Matt, where I'm coming from is as we go forward and we're, you know, moving forward with street projects, we're awarding contracts based on obviously the lowest bid or however the process works. But if we're not getting the satisfaction from the contractor, I have a real problem with that. And this isn't the first time that this contractor's name has come up with a problem. With just the last gal with a very simple what was it, a sewer drain.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I have an issue with this type of behavior that's now happening when we are paying millions of dollars as a city, taxpayers are paying millions of dollars, the IRRB or whomever, if it's state aid, are also paying millions of dollars. And to me, I would rather do it the correct way. And I don't know what that whole formula, revisiting this formula, I think we definitely need to do that. But I also think it's extremely important that we understand, I mean, thank you for the feedback on the general contractor and the conditions that that street was left in. And I don't want to keep going, but I do want to say we need to communicate immediately with Kraus Anderson, and I don't know if Pat Wertz is here yet,
Out in the hall.
that there should be no big trucks going down that street at all. And that was my biggest complaint on the one-way, what is that, third, second, whatever, third, second? Yeah, second, that they tore up those streets completely with those big trucks. The minute you bring big trucks, and I'm gonna have a problem then by the ball field, what street is that? You have to help me, I'm bad.
Third?
Third Street, they're taking that street too, and that's gonna get torn up. So, I mean, I agree, I think, and then if they're using it as a freeway, instead of Ninth, they're going on that street, and I think that that's not right. So I wanna eliminate that. I don't know what we need to do to eliminate big trucks. That's very important, and I also think it's a safety issue. Then the last thing I want to ask, and I've just been looking through my email, I don't have the PowerPoint because it was sent probably before the first one. So what is the amount right now that the assessed amount for 8th and, what are we talking, 8th and 3rd?
Third,
And I know you don't have that, oh, you have the
yeah, it's
paper.
1,600,000 and whatever it is.
8th Avenue is $256,348.
Say that one more time, I'm sorry.
$256,348.82.
And then that's 8th and, or is that 3rd, did you say?
That's 8th.
8th, okay, and 3rd?
$273,430.48.
Okay, so then you would basically add those two up, and that's what this neighborhood is getting assessed?
The
At the
folks,
formula, and then from the formula on that total? Just 8th Avenue.
yeah,
Okay. So, and what are we required? We're mandated to do 20%. Excuse me?
20% on the total project costs. But they're assessing avenues at less than 1,000 cars a day is 30%, more than is 20%. And then which one is square footage is based upon square foot and the other is linear foot,
Footage are on
correct?
avenues.
Right.
The flat front footage is on streets.
So, was that correct? It's 500, they're being assessed on $529,778?
That is the amount.
yes.
That 236 is the assessed amount.
That is the full assessment amount for those two roads. That,
What am I missing?
The dollar, Counselor Paulson, the 256,000 and change that Ellie said for 8th Avenue, that is the total dollar amount that is being divided up per the assessment policy,
Okay.
over the assessment.
So it's not plus in addition to 3rd?
No,
No,
Okay.
no,
Okay, I'm sorry.
Just
That's what
that
I was
200.
trying to figure that out. Okay, so we're required then,
and that's not the construction cost. That's the dollar amount that we are assessing. So what was the construction cost of that street? The assessable construction amount.
yeah, it was like
I don't have the assessable construction cost in front of me, but the total construction cost was about $1.7 million.
So how long do we have until we can make a decision, until we can sort some of this out and maybe I would like to understand this. I'm not on street and alley. I apologize that I don't understand this, but I would like to. So how much time do we have before we have to turn in some sort of an assessment form?
We have to notify the property owners of the final assessment by letter 30 days prior to getting to the county. The county needs them by November 28th.
So we have no time.
If we don't get them in by November 28th, it'll be next year, and the city will be solely responsible for the entire payment of the special assessments for '24.
Okay, so I don't know if someone could do the quick math work at some point between now and when we have to decide on this, of what were you asking, Mrs. Skorich? You were saying,
That's at 30%.
That's at 30%. I was asking
Drop it to 20.
drop it. When I talked to Mayor Cuffey dropping it to the
And you certainly can. At the council meeting, when we do the resolution, that is one of the recommendations you can make as part of the resolution, is to change that.
Would you come up so everybody has an opportunity to hear what you have to say? I can't hear you either.
Take a look at the policy, like you're talking about, and looking at assessing everybody, even if it is half the block, however, equally, not with this triangle stuff that is just, it's prejudice. I like the word prejudice, thank you. It is prejudice to those of us that are, like, we're the second house in. What the heck? You know, let's be fair about it. The people in the middle of the block, they're using that end of that avenue just as much as they're using Ninth Avenue. I could sit here and start taking account of every time our neighbors, Silbers, or any of the other ones that are in the middle of the block go down towards 8th Avenue. If I have to start sitting on my deck and with a little pen and paper and counting who's going which direction. We all use both avenues, 8th and 9th. We should pay equally. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So the concern about is the assessment part of it. And, you know, on the agenda for tonight is to approve the assessment hearing, but we don't have to. We still have a little bit of time. We can, very little, but we have a little bit of time. We can try to figure this out. You know, if this assessment policy, an angle, I've seen this before, never had any issues with it until now, but,
Mayor, let me point out something. We cannot change the policy midstream.
no, I'm not asking to.
So we can vary from the policy.
Right,
but
correct.
We cannot change the policy midstream of an assessment.
Understand. Yep, I don't understand that. Thank you, Brett, for that. I've just taken a look at, in the future, I'm going to have to take a look at this assessment policy overall, so. Okay, so tonight, we're scheduled to make a motion to approve the assessment policy, but we don't have to. But we have a little bit of time to try to, I'm sorry? What did I say? I'm sorry. I apologize. The resolution, not same thing, but I should say resolution, not policy. Resolution. Okay, that's in the packet. Okay, thank you for that clarification. So, yeah, so we will do that. We'll take a look at that then. So, okay. So in the future, we'll take a look at the assessment policy, but tonight we have a resolution and we can deviate if necessary, but we might need a little bit more time, and you say just a little bit of time left, but we do have a little bit of time to reevaluate. So, thank you. Do you have one more comment, Mrs. Foster, before we move on?
Clarify my position on assessing the lots equally. I'm not personally saying that every lot in the assessment should be the exact same amount. I understand the triangulation as far as setting the lots that go back further. I guess the easiest way to say it is the lots that are the same size, every corner lot should be assessed. Every second lot in should be assessed the same amount equal. That will probably be less, that could be less than the corner lot. The third houses in, that are the same size, they should all be assessed the same amount. Not one at $450 and another one at $660 for the same size lot in the same position. So I wanted to make sure I clarified it that way. I'm not opposed either to having every lot that's the same size being assessed the same amount. I'm just saying you cannot take 4 corner lots that are the same size, regardless of where the next avenue is located. They're the same size, they get the same benefit from this project. You have, in my 4 corner area, I am the highest in my 4 corner area, but I'm not the highest of all the corners. You have 2 that are the same, that are the lowest, and then 1 in the middle.
Yeah, you explained that
That's
before.
ridiculous.
We understand that, yeah, thank you. Okay, so, Counselor Freely, and then one more comment, and then we're going to close the hearing. Counselor Freely first, and then to Mrs. Geiselman.
You know, this is kind of obviously a catch-22, because any leniency or latitude or concession we make on the assessment is going to be borne by the levy. So you're going to be paying either way, unfortunately.
Oh, hang on now.
So that's
Hang
all
on.
I'm saying. It's like, we want to assist you in every way possible, and myself included, because I'm on this list on Third Street, and my cost is approaching $9,000. $9,000 for 2 old 1905 houses on the corner. And I had already been assessed on 6th Avenue back in whatever year it was, not that long ago, it seems. But so point being, from everything I've heard tonight, any latitude we take, any concessions we make are still going to have to be borne by the levy then. Either way, we're going to pay. That's the rock and the hard place. That's a catch-22. Either way, we end up paying.
Your formula is bad. It's a bad formula. Okay, my daughter's lots are the 3rd and 4th one in from the Ave. 3rd and 4th. The 4th lot that she has is an unbuildable lot. No one can build a home there. There was a creek through there at one time. Many people over the years, my dad was a veteran, and he built that house that my daughter lives in. And it's a tiny little rambler. And there's 9 people living in that house right now. And that house isn't worth maybe $120,000. And her house is the 3rd from the avenue, and the empty lot that's unbuildable, that they use as a little play area for all those children, is the 4th lot. And she is going to pay way more than the people on the avenue. And I'm not saying this, that I think that Jane should be paying more. And Phyllis, I don't think that they should be paying more. This is ridiculous. My daughter was told she was going to pay $500. She's going to pay $5,500 something. This is bad. Your formula is bad. If it was from the 1970s, I don't wear the same clothes that I wore in the 1970s. I mean, some things are bad. You know, there comes a time when something isn't working. You can see it's not working. It's not working. This isn't right. All of you have to see this isn't right. We're from Virginia. I know all of you. I know you all. This is wrong. This is very wrong. Please do something. Don't let anyone else have to get into this situation. It's a huge hardship for my daughter and her family and her husband. It's a ridiculous hardship for them. And please don't let this continue. Please do something now before this progresses. I understand. My husband's an engineer. You know, we understand what projects that you can't stop them once they're rolling. We understand that, but there has to be a stop. There has to be a point where this stops. This is unfair. Everybody here sees that this is wrong, unfair. All of you see it's unfair. Please do something. I want to have young people in Virginia. I want to have young people in Virginia. There's no reason to live in Virginia anymore. I love Virginia. I'm rah-rah Virginia. Really, please do something.
Thank you, Mrs. Geiselman. Okay. Anything else before we move on? We have a council meeting way overdue. Councilor Paulson.
Thank you, Mayor. And I do want to address to Mrs. Geiselman, under that policy on number 9, there is a part that discusses deferments. And there is also, I mean, we need to work on this. We need to work hard on
Hardship.
this. But there is a deferment. It's not only elderly, but for all other persons who fall within the economic hardship criteria. A deferred assessment is not forgiven, but is postponed until such time that the property owner either elects to resume making the annual installments as certified, no longer meets the economic hardship criteria, or sells the property. Persons interested in deferring assessments must apply each year to have the following year assessment installment deferred. After 10 years, no further applications are necessary, and the deferred installments will remain permanently deferred without accrual of additional interest until such time that the deferred assessment is voluntarily paid or the property is sold. The most current deferment criteria passed by council resolution can be requested from the city clerk and a copy provided to the requester. So whatever happens here as we move forward, just know that there is also that option if she could apply for that type, and I believe Pam would have that information. So that's all I wanted to add. Thank you, Mayor.
Yeah, well, thank you, Counselor Paulson. Okay, anything else before we adjourn the assessment hearing? We have some more work to do, I see. A lot more work. So, seeing nothing else come forward, anyone? We come up to the podium, would you please, so we can all hear you.
To correct, I don't know, I'm sorry.
Let me
Apologize.
clarify something too. I'm Joe Uramovich.
Okay, please state your name
So
for the
when you-
state your name for the record, please.
Joe Uramovich.
Okay,
When
Joey.
you pour concrete in October, November, and you do grass right after that, that was our problem. It's oatmeal, you know. Councilor Paulson, that's kind of why we're in this mess of it's not the great, because it's too late in the season. We're starting in September, you know. It wasn't enough time.
So, point being, Phyllis Hokening Uramovich, when he said he had 30 days to decide about the grass, when it was put down, there's no way that we would have been able to. That's the only thing, because winter came in.
And that's a fair statement. Typically, if it goes down in October, it goes down, it's dormant, it's not going to grow, it's not going to root. The 30 days extends into the spring at that point, so they need to make sure that it grows, and if it doesn't, then, what?
Nice to know now. Thank you. I would.
Thank you, Matt. Okay, anything else? We have some more work to do when it comes down to the next item, the agenda item, when we have to make a decision here. So thank you, everybody, for coming in, and your points are well taken, and I think we have to take a look at this assessment policy moving forward as well. So, okay. No other items that come before the committee of the whole, or this assessment hearing will stand adjourned at 6:20. We'll take 5 minutes and come back and start the city council meeting. We stand adjourned on the assessment hearing. Thank you. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Virginia City Council chambers. This is a regularly scheduled city council meeting, normally scheduled to start at 5:30 p.m., but we had an assessment hearing that went a little bit longer than we had anticipated. So we'll call this meeting to order. Today's date is Tuesday, October 10th, 2023. The time is 6:31 p.m. Pam, would you please take the roll call?
Motley. Here. Friedli. Here. Paulson.
Present.
Beyondich.
Present.
Johnson.
Here.
Gonzalez. Here. Coffee.
Present. Would everyone please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. With item number 4 on the agenda, which is a public forum, this is an opportunity for anyone in the audience like to speak before the council. If you would like to speak right now, please come forward. Please come forward, state your name for the record, and welcome to the city council meeting.
Hi, Mayor. Hi, councilors. My name is Crystal Royer. I'm a resident here in Virginia. Some of what I had to talk about fall into the special cow that was just held. And I know there's going to be more opportunity to speak potentially at that Tuesday meeting, at that special meeting. I forgot my papers back there, so I might run and grab those. I'll be right back. My mind is half here and half with my daughter, who's at a volleyball game that I am unfortunately missing. I had a flowery speech prepared, 20 minutes in fact, about my appreciation for the time and dedication to the Virginia. I was going to make statements about the impact of words and the importance of actions aligning with those words. I was going to talk about the struggles the child of poverty faces. Counselor Johnson, I hear you paycheck to paycheck. I was homeless at age 12, and now I have done everything in my power to ensure that my children don't have to play the same hand that was dealt to me. Please keep in mind the following comments have nothing to do with public safety. This group of courageous law enforcement and firefighters and ambulance service people deserve every piece of protection and respect that we can make them so they can make it home. I don't believe in singling out individuals and endeavor to move with kindness and respect, so the following statements are general and don't aim to accuse, but rather give me an opportunity to get curious. There are records of these statements, whether it's from the recorded meetings or from communications with staff. I have full confidence that the following are representative of the situation at hand. If you doubt my recollection, please reach out to me and I'll provide the resources, and I would invite you to help me see things differently. The movement made at the 3 o'clock meeting was great. It was beautiful to listen to this collaboration on paring down this budget and the responsibility that's going to fall on the taxpayers. I truly appreciate it. The next items that are going to be discussed are of concern. The ITMEC is up on the agenda next. And as I was going through and really trying to understand the history of this all, I had taken every single schedule of bills from the January 10th meeting agenda packet through the September 26th of what was posted online. And some of the calculations that are included in the ITMEC portion are concerning, and I don't know how city budgets are created. I've read the League of Minnesota cities chapters on this, the handbooks and various things. So I'm really trying to understand before I come up or ask your amazing administrator for insights into what I'm reading. The concession stands are being budgeted at $50,000 for the year. I hear that the busy season is coming up. I hear that there's going to be an increase in the services provided. The year-to-date expenditure for concession-related food items, according to the budgeted and codified numbers in the schedule of bills that are printed every 2 weeks, totals $49,000. There's 12 weeks left to this fiscal year or however this is calculated. So I'm curious, as you're working through these next portions of the budget, how accurate are those projections? And how much of this is going to fall on the taxpayers if this budget isn't balanced? It's frustrating to hear council people say things like a 31% levy was never stated or was never floated around. There's documents with that the city had disseminated that showed a 31%. It's really important to mean what you say and say what you mean. We heard from families at that special assessment hearing about the burden, and I'm assuming maybe this is what one of the counselors had encountered on the street, where you have people coming up to you in tears because they can't be cost burdened any further. We have done everything that we can to be financially responsible. From following Dave Ramsey, my vehicle has 200,000 miles on it. I work a full-time job and a part-time job. Children are expensive and they eat all the time. And the rising cost of groceries, all of this is adding up and it is burdensome. I was told recently that I was a pennies gal. I do count the pennies because growing up homeless, you learn those small but frequent expenses add up quickly. So my following curiosities do with the pennies and the big picture. I'm wondering, I hear that there's going to be a great investment on those recently hired or allocated positions, the 3.5. I'm wondering how long, and in that, there was a miscalculation where salaries were doubled for a parking monitor, is that right? Okay. But I'm wondering what that return on an investment is. A lead rec assistant, I think, is an average of $50,000. And the concession stand is, what is that return on the investment there of that idea? And with these additional hires in these various departments, can taxpayers expect to see a reduction in the amount of overtime and comp time earned? At one of the most recent meetings, I'm curious why the Isaacson Sports Group's original and complete performers haven't been followed to point. I heard Counselor Paulson say that she had been in contact with, and I wonder if that would have helped some of this big hole that I feel like we're in would have been mitigated at some point. And that is way outside of my understanding. I think the IMMAC is a brilliant building. I think it's needed. I think there needs to be a responsible management of such. And so building upon the numbers that are calculated here specifically for the IMMAC, you're budgeting $15,000, if I'm not mistaken, for cleaning supplies. The year-to-date total already is $16,800. All of these little things add up over time. Mayor Cuffey, I truly appreciate you mentioning the other day that Hometown Focus article written by HRA Director Dana Hiltman. Affordable housing today is synonymous with workforce housing. This means a household of 4 earning approximately $70,000 per year qualified for that housing development that was turned away. With the loss of the Blue Cross Blue Shield building to an exempt property, and I think that was a $10 million assessment value that was put on the commercial side of the levy. That's a big hit for residential owners to take on. Some other curiosities I have. What is the expected conduct of a city employee wearing city apparel? Because at the September 26th meeting, I was disappointed to witness a worker leave the meeting frustrated, understandably, when a 10% proposal had been offered. I had my 7-year-old daughter with me, and she looked up at me with those big blue eyes and knew that was inappropriate. And I did confirm with their boss that it is a current employee. And I'm, mostly the schedule of bills is coming up in the individual. There's a charge right now for $3,500 for a catering event at the ITMAC. And it wasn't a Virginia name that I had recognized. I had a local business owner reach out to me frustrated that the city of Virginia is not taking care of their own. I'm wondering, how are these determinations made about who is awarded which contract? Was there an RFP that was put out for that particular event?
As per our purchasing policy.
Okay, and can you give me insights into that purchasing policy?
I don't have it with me. It is online.
Okay.
So if I may interrupt, Ms. Royer, all these things you're discussing today is part of our budget discussions as we move down the line. We're acutely aware, and I know you've indicated this before, about the concerns regarding these particular items. And we are working diligently to try to address those issues to the end of the year. So we have until December 12th to do that. Part of that discussion, the next budget is going to be outlined, and that these information that you're bringing forward. So we're going to be working on those things. If you need answers to those things, you should have those answers at the next budget meeting. But if you're looking for parts of the policy, we can certainly refer you to the website, or we can provide that for you at your request.
Okay, and I just have, and thank you. Again, always thank you. I appreciate you all. I appreciate the city workers. We are the family that brings the donuts on the cold days to the public garage. We appreciate those guys and the Bobcats and the women. We appreciate you all. My next curiosity, because I was looking at the.
Couple more minutes, and then a couple more minutes.
Okay, on the hiring.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, what?
Couple more minutes.
Okay, yeah, no, I know, and I appreciate your time. It's been a long day already for you all. But I was looking at the hiring policy online that I was directed to by staff, and I'm curious about how it works, and I'm going to use the word the gatekeeper, from the applications to the next steps. How are conflicts of interest handled if there's an intimate relationship or someone that is, familiar with outside the professional role?
We have a personnel policy, and sometimes we do interviews. It depends on what the personnel policy says. We'll assign some individuals to do their interviews. If there's a conflict of interest, the employee or the person interviews has to disclose that conflict of interest, and then does not participate in the process.
And would that be available in a data request to see if specific positions hired or when city staff is abstained from moving forward with that?
Sure, make a formal request in writing, and we'll try to provide you whatever we can.
Okay, that's great. Thank you again for your time and your diligence always.
You're very welcome. Okay, we'll move to item 5 on the agenda, which is the consent agenda. The following items will be enacted by one motion unless a councilor or a citizen of the city of Virginia requests that the item be considered separately. Item 5.1 is the approval and correction of the minutes of the regular meeting that was held on September 26, 2023, and the public hearing minutes that was held on September 26, 2023. Item 5.2 is the adoption of finance resolution number 23-019, the schedule of bills. Item 5.3, approve the travel request for Jesse McIntyre to attend the solid waste landfill operator training on October 25th, 2023 in Grand Rapids, Minnesota at a cost of $240. Item 5.4 is adopt resolution for final pay estimate number 18 for the 2021 street improvement project to Casper Engineering in the amount of $262,485.21. These are the consent agenda items on the regular schedule here for consideration. Looking for council action. Councilor Bronzelli, are you moving to approve the consent agenda? Councilor Bronzelli moves to approve the consent agenda. Is there support? By Councilor Freely. Is there any further discussion? Councilor Paulson.
Thank you, Mayor. I would like to pull item 5.4 for further consideration.
Thank you. Councilor Paulson requested to move item 5.4 for the further consideration. Looking for a motion to approve 5.1, 2, and 3. Motions to approve is 5, 1, 2, and 3. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item 5.4, the resolution for final pay estimate number 18 for the 2021 street improvement project to Casper Construction. Councilor Paulson.
Thank you, Mayor. In light of the discussion that we just had regarding the assessments for, I guess, 3rd and 8th, or whatever the street is there, yeah, 3rd and 8th, with some issues maybe still seem to be left unresolved with some of the completion of the project, although they did the punch list. I don't know if we could withhold 10% from the final payment, if that's a possibility.
Ellie? SCH. Ellie?
Yes, there is a 1-year project warranty that comes with this project. Once it's
When does
complete.
that start with? After we approve the final payment, there's 1 year?
Yep,
Okay.
once final payment is made, there's a 1-year
So
project.
I guess what I'd like, I really do want those concerns addressed, with it would be the sod issue, the driveway issue, the not filling the dirt all the way up to the curb, causing a tripping hazard. So do we need to make a list of what we want identified to be discussed with Casper to look back into? And what kind of threshold or criteria, and/or if we approve this final payment, does that mean there will be no satisfaction going forward?
Britt? Brian?
Thank you, Mayor. So the 1-year warranty period is an important aspect. Essentially, they're obligated to make the city whole on the project for that year. So essentially, the way that it would work would be this. We can make the final pay application. We give them a list of things that we believe breach the warranty that they owe us or are unsatisfactory. We ask them to correct those things. If they don't, then they've breached that warranty. And then we talk about the actual, recouping from them the actual costs of corrections.
Okay, so what we need to do then is release the final payment, assess what the corrections need to be, or they need to assess that. And what happens if the city has to make the resident whole and we've already paid Casper in full?
Mayor, if I may.
Yes, Brian?
In theory, the city then could go back to Casper and say, these are obligations you should have had. This is work that wasn't completed pursuant to the warranty, and we're going to ask you to reimburse the city. Oftentimes what happens is when a contractor finds out that that's a potential or a real potential, they'll get involved to try and take care of things because what they want to do is try and control the costs of making the corrections. Because if the city has to go out and contract to make those corrections separately, the cost may get much higher.
Okay, thank you for that, Brian. So I guess we have to approve that, but is there a separate motion that can be made then to look into having those warranty discussions? We would need the residents to submit issues, correct?
Correct. And we could put something out to the residents that you have till this date to let us know of any concerns you have with this project. Please contact us. We're going to notify Casper and then go from there.
Okay, so I'm comfortable then moving forward as long as we're doing a parallel track. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Paulson. So has it been a motion to adopt item 5.4? Looking for that motion. Councillor Johnson moves to approve item 5.4. Is there support? By Councillor Beyondich. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Move to item 6, appearances. We have 2 appearances scheduled for this evening. The first item under 6.1 is Michael Jarek from Jarek and Associates to discuss the lobbyist contract with the City of Virginia with a resolution in your packet. Mr. Jarek, welcome. Thanks for taking the drive up from Mendota Heights.
It was in Duluth.
In Duluth. Okay, very good. Okay. Well, thanks for bringing it up from Duluth. So,
thanks for having me. Mike Jarek with Jarek and Associates. I know I sent out a list of our accomplishments, and the one thing I forgot on there was the sales tax exemption for the public safety building on all construction material. I don't know what that number adds up to, but I just forgot about that.
significant, yeah.
Also, I have the bonding request that the city wants to renovate this building a little bit with new windows and a few other things. That we can get language drafted really quick, and when session starts, and all rolling, and work with Senator
Udall?
Farnsworth. And
A little closer to the mic. A little closer to the mic.
Oh, and Representative
I know you're a big
Liziger.
guy. Senator Farnsworth.
Yes. And we can get that drafted real quick and we'll see what the last year they did a really big bonding bill, which we got some cash for the public safety building. And so we'll see what the mood is. Right now, they're kind of butting heads over some of the marijuana legislation that needs some fixing. The school resource officer, which is a big deal with all the communities, as officers are pulling out, and so kind of see what happens there. And it doesn't look like there's going to be a special session for that. There should be, but we'll see. And then where the bonding goes, because they need a supermajority to pass it. So a certain number of Republican votes. We won't know. They spent all the surplus, so we won't know how we're doing until the November forecast comes out, and that'll tell us a lot. There were tax increases, so I'm projecting. I think that our number's going to be pretty high. And I think they should do another bonding bill. We skipped a few years. So the last one was really big. There's a lot of projects out there that still need funding. Anybody have any questions, concerns?
The one question that I have is regarding EMS. I know we had talked about that before, so if you could address that a little bit about where we're going and what track we can do to help there.
Yeah, that's one thing that I can see how it's a big problem where your services are covering a large area. And I think that would take some brainstorming with, there's really, really good staff at the Capitol that can help work through this, and we can talk about it and come up with either a solution, a bill, whatever. I think you said the other communities would have to vote to increase their own taxes. So that's tough. So I think a better solution would be to see if the legislature could maybe throw some money at it. They could pass laws, they can do whatever they want, and hopefully, solve the problem, not just a budget problem for the city, but also, if I lived 20 minutes from here or 20 miles from here in a different community, I would want EMS, if something happened. My wife comes from a small town in northeastern North Dakota where they don't have that. And basically it's volunteer firefighters that show up. We've had, her uncle had a heart attack last year. When we were there, we've been there when her cousin fell off a horse, and the response time is slow, and it's very rural, but I would rather have the professionals try to save me, that are trained. Not that they're not professionals, they're just don't have the same training.
Counselor, have any questions for Mr. Jarek? Counselor Beyondich.
Thank you for coming. And I know that you had been here a year or two ago and we had talked, but I think one of our largest concerns, or my concern, is our ambulance and our EMS and the large area that they cover and the reimbursement costs back to the city. It's really tough to kind of keep your head above water. And I know we had talked of having that a priority to be working on, to see what we can do. We've tried, I've been on a shared fire service with Mountain Iron that it's hard to get traction from other communities when we support and supply everything from here. And the reimbursement just isn't enough to cover the cost of rolling that rig out of the garage. So for me personally, I would really like to see work done on how we can do this. How can we engage or get reimbursement back because our department is so important to this community. And we want to continue to have them and support them in any way we can. So it's reaching out to higher government on how we can do this. So that would be my push, is to help our department. Thank you.
To the best of my knowledge, I don't know that conversation's ever been had at the Capitol for other communities. So it'd be a good start. And sometimes when you're first, you get the most.
And I would love to come down and see that in action. Thank you.
And last month when we had a chance to meet at Giants Ridge there, and we talked about the rural EMS services and the 2002 Department of Health study about rural ambulance at risk, and nothing was ever done. And I know you and your partner Valerie, your mother Valerie, is acutely aware of that, and this is something we're going to carry forward to the next legislative session with that document in hand, and as a almost like a book to, I don't want to say Bible, but it's the conduit of the issues that we're having up here, as Councilor Beyond just brought forth. Councilor Paulson.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mike, so much for coming up and taking some time. We're we're trying to justify, can we afford to pay you again this next budget cycle because we are in such a tight crunch? So I do appreciate you coming forward, because I think where I was coming from is it's not a bonding year. Are we
It is
gonna?
a bonding year.
It is a bonding year.
Yes.
Okay, so then that,
Typically.
typically,
But they don't always play by their own rules.
well, right, and you would know that, so, right. But, so I think part of, us inviting you to come was just to kind of discuss some of our priorities, and I definitely think our number one priority is definitely the ambulance and the situation there. And you've really helped us out in the past with having those conversation starters. And, some of the things that we've done haven't been done before either. So, I really appreciate the work that you've been doing. And I appreciate your time in coming here tonight. So I think that's justified, the allocation that your company is paid, because I do see such a huge benefit for what your company brings to the city of Virginia. So on behalf of myself, thank you for that. The one question that I did have was regarding the SRO. Is your thought process that is actually not going to be visited at all because there is so much non-agreement on that issue?
I don't believe it'll be addressed in a special session. That being said, something tragic could happen and change that. Sure, it'll be addressed next session when it starts in February. So hopefully it's not too late.
We're putting our budget together with including a full-time SRO at the ISD in 2909 school. And that runs obviously into 24, they overlap in their academic year. So just kind of that budget planning and where you maybe think that might go. But as you get information about that, if you could relay that to the council,
Sure.
I would greatly appreciate that going forward. And thank you again for coming. Appreciate it.
For having up here.
Thank you, Councilor Paulson. Any other questions for Mr. Jarrett?
Mayor,
Yes, Councilor Freely.
I would like to make a motion to approve the continuing contract with Jarek and Associates as our lobbyist.
A motion by Councilor Freely to approve the one-year contract with Jarrett and Associates for lobbying services. Is there support? By Councilor Barnzelli. Is there any further discussion? Councilor Johnson.
Mayor, I appreciate you coming up here, Mike, and it's nothing personal, but if it comes between employing you and employing one of our already folks here, I'm going to have to go with one of our folks, so I will not be supporting this.
Okay, thank you, Councilor Johnson. It has been moved and supported to approve one-year contract with Jarrett and Associates for lobbying services. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed?
No.
Roll call, please, Pam.
Johnson?
No.
Baranzelli? Yes. Cuffey?
Aye.
Motley?
Yes.
Friedlieb?
Aye.
Paulson?
Aye.
Beyondich?
Aye.
Motion passes 6-1. Thank you. Thanks for coming up, Mr. Jarrett. I know we have a contract. We have a resolution in the packet. Do we have to approve that resolution now? Pardon? That's part of the motion to pass a resolution to hire? Okay, so thank you. Thank you, Mike. I think we have a contract. I think we need to, I don't know if you have that available now or not. You can have him sign that.
I'll send it out.
He'll send it out. Thank you, Mr. Jarrett, for coming in. Thanks for making the trip up. I'll move to item 6.2 in the agenda. Pat Wirtz from Carl Sanderson regarding the Public Safety Center update and potentially approve the contract for abatement of the remaining properties in the public safety other finally. Mr. Wirtz.
Hi.
And your partner is?
Carly Ridgway.
You guys might remember
Yes,
me
I
from a
remember.
couple of years ago.
I remember.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
Oh, Carl Ridgway. Yes, thank you. Welcome.
Thanks for having us. So I think the first thing I want to go through, and I plan on coming back to the committee of the whole meeting on Tuesday to discuss overall project budget and to discuss a couple items on that for public safety, because that'll stand probably a longer conversation. So one thing we want to get approved was IEA, the Institute for Environmental Assessment. Taylor Dickinson had put together some quotes. Originally back, they'd hired Mabo to do the abatement on 17 houses. But then they didn't bid out all their previous houses because they weren't owned by the city of Virginia yet. So they solicited other bids, received 3 bidders for it, and so they got quotes for the remaining properties, a value of $116,600 from EnviroBait. That's to abate the remaining houses, so all the rest of the houses can be demoed. So that's what we're looking to get approved tonight. And then that would take care of all the rest of the abatement for the properties still on the site.
So once this is approved, Pat, what is the time frame for the abatement be completed and demolition to continue?
So they will start abating, would be either next week or on October 23rd, prior to the approval, and then it'd be done by November 20th. Then the houses to go back, so once they give them a 2-week head start, TNT would be back on site around roughly the November 1st, in that timeframe, to remove the remaining houses.
November 1st?
Correct, yep.
Thank you. Questions? Counselor Paulson?
Thank you. Pat, does this, thank you, and good to see you smiling. I love it. Is this included in our budget? Were we expecting about this approximate cost?
Yes,
For this
well,
abatement?
not exactly that approximate cost. We had a value plugged in for abatement to go back.
This is a little higher because of winter conditions. We didn't plan for this to be this
Yes.
late in the year. So the costs are a little more higher than we expected. We expected to be closer to the 79, 80, well, probably 90,000. So this is a little bit more increased.
There's EFS and some stucco, it's probably stucco actually, it has to
Yeah,
be
the stucco
abated.
is causing a problem. Yeah.
Okay, so, I'm sorry, so the line item above there, and Pat, we just got these tonight, so you've got it highlighted in yellow, 116,600.
Yep,
Asbestos removal price at the, right above that line item, the line item right above that at 79,840.
yeah, correct.
That was 17, the first 17 houses, and then the 116 is all the remaining properties.
Okay, so that's been,
The 79's been expended, yep, that's
have
done.
those actually been demoed and done?
Yes,
So 17, yes.
So 17 are actually gone. And
17
the
are gone.
remaining properties that are still standing are, what, how many of them again?
It's approximately 20, I don't know the exact number, was 20.
Like that, yeah.
20?
20 remaining, correct.
And when would demo begin on these?
November 1st, in that ballpark.
And that includes all the removal,
Well,
all the rubble and,
Let's back up. The abatement would start either next week or a week of October 23rd, depending as long as if we get approval tonight, and then Taylor's gonna reach out to EnviroBait. Taylor's with IEA. So that's where she's gonna try to get them to go next week, and then if not, it'd be the week of October 23rd, but regardless, it'd be complete by the week of November 20th. So then if we give them a little bit of a head start, so when TNT can demo houses faster than they can abate, that's a slower process. So then if they start around November 1st in the time frame, and then they'll be able to catch back up. So basically by December 1st, the site will have no houses left.
okay, and I'm glad about that. I'm sure the neighbors will be glad about that.
Yeah.
But what about the debris and the removal of that debris? Because there's concrete back there I've watched as I've driven by. There's still kids crawling on that and other people in that. I don't know if they're getting back there from
They're probably going through the drainage ditch back
maybe,
around the
yeah, I'm
fence.
not sure, but I have seen children playing in there. And I just want to make sure that if this happens, that they're going to remove everything and it's going to be a leveled surface.
Will be correct. And that's one thing, go back for next Tuesday to come back, I want to discuss some more of the site going back. But yes, for now, it will be flat. So all the debris will be removed when they get done
Thank
this
you.
time.
I appreciate that. Thank you, Mayor.
So if we're going to move forward to approve this, we'll have to waive the written resolution because there isn't one intact. So if we're going to do, we'd have to waive the written resolution to approve the abatement of these homes. Any questions, comments, or any additional information regarding the request on this, the abatement for the remaining properties in the public safety area? Councilor Johnson?
I was going to say I'll move with waiver written resolutions to approve the bid from EnviroBait.
Yep, EnviroBait.
Councilor Johnson moves to approve and waive the written resolution for the awarding of the contract to EnviroBait for the abatement of the remaining homes in the public safety area. Is there support?
I'll support for discussion.
By Councilor Barnzelli, and further discussion, Councilor Freely.
So is this still within the budgeted acquisition monies then? I mean, we have not exceeded the acquisition costs that we had budgeted for.
Not to my knowledge, but Britt would probably be able to answer
The
that.
demolition costs are different than the acquisition costs. We're still in phase one. We're still working under the state funding, which covered everything from acquisition to demolition to site prep.
So this is an additional $36,760 than was anticipated.
Correct.
So is that meaning we're gonna have to look in another pocket to get that money, or is that still in the pocket we're reaching into?
Pat and I had a phone call today, and we did find that we had legal fees doubled so we're fine.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Long story short, we're fine.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. It has been moved and supported to waive the written resolution and approve the abatement contract to Environment. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Thank you, Pat.
We'll see you
Until
next
next
Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Here's Ray.
Yep, I know.
Okay, move to item number 7, unfinished business, the clinic lease. Any movement or any additional information to disseminate today, Britt? Okay. We're still having some conversations here, keeping the lines of communication open, Brian?
We are, Mayor. In fact, I anticipate we'll have another meeting this coming Friday.
Very good, thank you. Anything else on the clinic lease? Okay, move to item 8, discussion items. Item 8.1, adopt a resolution to spread the assessments on Phase 1 of the 2022 street improvement project.
Move to table for further information as discussed earlier.
Counselor Johnson moves to approve. Is there support?
I move to table.
Sir, I didn't hear you, I apologize.
Move to table.
Counselor Johnson moves to table. Is there support?
Support.
Support by Counselor Paulson. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Move to item 9, committee reports. Item 9.1, the committee of the whole meeting.
Mayor,
I'm sorry, yes, Counselor Freely.
and this is not to continue discussions, I know that that's not allowed, but should we set a meeting to make sure that we have determined what we're gonna do? Because we are on a timeline.
Yeah, we're in a tight
That's
timeframe.
not further discussion on the issue, it's just.
We could
we could
certainly
set
make
a date.
We could take another, so that's your motion to set another date?
Please.
To discuss this?
Yes.
And it has to be within a certain period of time, right? By what?
Because if we make changes to the formulas, we have to have SEH redo the spreadsheets, and then we have to redo the notices. So there's prep time.
So if the motion comes forth, then, and it's supported and we move forward, is it that we can waive, or it's not changing the policy, even if we waive, it still has to be redone by SEH?
Yeah, if you change the formula at all, they have to redo that whole packet.
Okay, so that's moved by Councilor Friedlieb. Is there support?
I'll support
Support by Councilor Paulson.
for discussion.
Sure, any further discussion? Councilor Paulson?
Thank you, Mayor. Could we add that to the committee of the whole agenda and discuss it at that time? Would that be amicable to everybody? Is that the soonest we could probably do it? Tuesday?
Put on the agenda for next Tuesday?
So,
Motion is support to discuss this further at the committee of the whole meeting on next Tuesday. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Move to item 9, committee reports. Item 9.1, the committee of the whole meeting that was held on October 3rd, 2023. And we'll turn the rest of the agenda over to our city administrator, Britt C. Bennis. Britt?
Thank you. At this October 3rd Committee of the Whole meeting, we had Matt Reed from SEH there to discuss 2 change orders for the Alcala entrance project. The pillars needed to be relocated for an increase of $3,100, and the other was a decrease of $3,837 to move the power for a total overall contract decrease of $737. It was moved and supported to approve change order number 2.
Moved by Councilor Friedlieb to approve, supported by Councilor Motley. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
aye.
Aye, opposed? Motion carries.
Matt presented information regarding the quick claim deed with Del Schnabel. This will allow us a permanent right-of-way easement for 6th Avenue North, where his property comes out to a point from 12th Street North. It was moved and supported to approve the quick claim deed with Del Schnabel for the 6th Avenue North easement.
Moved.
Moved by Councilor Paulson, supported by Counselor Beyondich. Is there any further discussion?
Just a quick question.
Yeah, sure.
Was there cost incurred with regard to that?
What we did agree to was we are going to be, when we redo the street, we are going to be taking out part of his retaining wall. We agreed to put it back.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Moved and supported. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Sorry, my computer froze. It was moved and supported to approve the real estate agreement with U.S. Steel contingent upon reviewing the insurance information and further discussion.
So moved.
Moved by Counselor Paulson. There's a support.
I'll support.
Support by Counselor Freely. Is there any further discussion? Counselor Johnson.
Can we know what that additional information was with the insurance? What happened with that?
Yes, Pam?
Thank you, Mayor. I have not received any other information on that as of yet. They are seeking other quotes for the additional coverage, but I have not heard back on the cost.
Okay, thank you. Moved and supported. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
No.
Okay, roll call, please, Pam.
Baranzelli? Duffy?
Aye.
Motley?
Yes.
Friedlieb?
Aye.
Paulson?
No.
Beyondich? Johnson?
No.
Motion passes 5-2. I'd like to go back, if I may. I just had a conversation with Pam and made a good point about discussing that motion at the next committee of the whole meeting with respect to the 2021 assessment. If we do discuss it at the next committee of the whole meeting, then we'll have to wait for the next council meeting in order to approve. And so does that put us in a bad time frame, or should we just set a special meeting to accomplish that?
We could set a special meeting at 9 o'clock and just have the committee the whole meeting after the special meeting.
Could we, okay, do we have to amend a motion for that? Just set it?
No, I think that's fine. I think we'll be
All
okay.
right. Thank you, and thanks for bringing that up,
Thanks,
Pam.
Pam.
Appreciate it. Okay, we're good. All right, thank you. Next item.
The next item was to move and supported to move the approval of the ATV Trail Indemnity and Release Agreement between City of Virginia and the Quad Cities ATV Club, contingent upon reviewing the insurance information and further discussion.
We
We did the first one with U.S. Steel. The second one is the Quad Cities ATV Club.
okay, very good, thank you.
I'll make the motion.
Councilor Motley makes a motion to approve. Is there support? Support by Councilor Freely. Is there any further discussion? Councilor Paulson.
Thank you, Mayor. And the reason I voted no on the other item was because I really wanted to have that information, the insurance and the financial information on the insurance. So I feel like we're putting the cart before the horse and approving before we have that information. So I mean, I'm all in favor of this. I'm not in favor. I'm all in favor. I just wanted the documentation prior to approval. So on this one, I'm probably going to say no as well. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. And I get where you're coming from, but the term contingent upon makes me want to say yes. So it has been moved and supported. Is there any further discussion? Councilor Beyondich.
Bringing up that point, how would that relate to this motion? The first one was with U.S. Steel,
Mm-hmm.
and this one is for the ATV.
Yep, and that's the agreement where they're going to hold us harmless, they're going to have insurance, it's going to name us, and they're going to pay for the insurance that we incur a cost on. And if at any time they don't pay for the insurance, we don't pay U.S. Steel and we get rid of that agreement. So it's the twofold to protect the city.
So this one protects the city.
Yes, and very clearly defines to the Quad Cities ATV Club that they are going to be responsible for the insurance, and if they don't pay for it, we are going to drop the license agreement, and the trail will be gone.
Thank you. Councilor Johnson.
Thank you, Mayor. And I will be supporting this. I feel like this one should have come first before the other one. But I will be supporting this because I agree with we need the trail and it'll be great. So I think we'll get the answers we need eventually.
Thank you. So it has been moved and supported. Is there any further discussion? Counselor Paulson.
Thank you, Mayor. So just to clarify on this agreement, though, they're agreeing to pay whatever the price is of the insurance, but we don't know that dollar amount yet.
Correct, so we can't,
And okay, Pam's shaking her head. They have not agreed to pay that.
We don't know.
Yeah, so how can we make an agreement when we don't know?
they have agreed to pay.
But they don't know the dollar amount.
I don't think they care. They get DNR funding to pay for that. So we just want it in a solidified agreement that says that they are going to pay it for us.
I know they have the funds. They came in and said they had $500,000 in the bank, but I think that we're doing this without having a quotation of the costs involved. I just am not comfortable with that. I support this 100%. The process, in my opinion, is backwards. So thank you, I guess.
Sure, thank you. It has been moved and supported. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed?
No.
Roll call, please, Pam.
Huffy,
Aye.
Motley,
Yes.
Friedlieb,
Aye.
Paulson,
No.
Beyondich, Johnson,
Yes.
Aaron Sally.
Motion passes 6-1, thank you.
It was moved and supported to approve the quote for flooring at the Virginia Public Library in the amount of $58,159.24 using the state bid from Hiller Commercial Flooring with funds available through the 2023 GO Charter Bond.
So moved.
Moved to approve by Counselor Johnson. Is there support? Support by Counselor Beyondich. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Motion carries.
It was moved and supported to approve the resolution for the wastewater treatment facility SCADA server replacement from In Control Systems in the amount of $44,028.
So moved.
Moved to approve by Counselor Johnson, supported by Counselor Beyondich. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Motion carries.
It was moved and supported to approve the one-year managed services agreement with Pantheon Computers beginning September 1st, 2023.
So moved.
Moved to approve by Counselor Johnson. I'm sorry, one moment. Pam?
Yes, sorry, there is a resolution in the packet, so it would be to adopt the resolution.
Or was for the last one? For the SCADA?
Yeah, with Pam.
Oh, okay. Okay, there's a motion of support to approve with the resolution in the packet.
I'll move the resolution.
Okay, Counselor Johnson moves to approve the resolution. Is there support?
Support.
By Counselor Motley. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Motion carries.
It was moved and supported to approve the purchase of audiovisual equipment per the request by the Cable Commission in the amount of $11,051.94 from B&H Photo Video.
Move to approve.
I'll move to approve by Counselor Paulson and supported by Counselor Johnson. Is there any further discussion? Counselor Preely.
Quick question. What is this for and where is it being placed?
They're buying new cameras, HD cameras, tripods.
Who?
The Cable Commission,
To use where?
wherever they need it. The Cable Commission does the game filming, the city council filming, those types of
Public
things.
events, Virginia
Yes.
public events.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. Moved and supported. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Motion carries.
We had discussion on the budget, and there was a motion to set a meeting for 3 o'clock today. And then there was a further motion to request the chair of the insurance committee to schedule a meeting.
Is there any need to prove this?
I don't know that we need to. No. Brian's shaking his head.
We do not. Thank you. Next item.
It was moved and supported for staff to reach out to Isaac Sports Group for a quote on the updated financial pro forma for the Iron Trail Motors Event Center.
So moved.
Moved by Counselor Motley and supported by
I'll support.
Counselor Paulson. Further discussion? Hearing and seeing none. I'm sorry, Counselor Freely.
I know we're just seeking a quote and to get some updated figures from what we originally had, but I really think that Brian is probably best suited to be able to give us the kind of facts and, data that we're seeking. He's got firsthand knowledge in terms of like what we're looking for in that building, but I'm fine with going ahead and seeing what it would cost for an update, but I would suggest Brian certainly be involved with the Isaac Sports Group at least. Thank you.
Thank you. Moved and supported. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Aye, opposed?
No.
Roll call, please.
Motley,
Yes.
Friedlieb,
Aye.
Paulson,
Aye.
Beyondich, Johnson,
No.
Aaron Sally, Cuffey.
This is just to get quotes, right?
Correct.
Aye. Motion passes 6-1. Could we go back to item I? Britt,
Item I was the insurance?
do we don't request to set an insurance committee to schedule insurance meeting? Okay, okay. They're going to schedule one. Okay, I apologize. Thank you.
Okay.
All right.
It was moved in support, after we had a discussion regarding filling positions that are vacant right now currently. It was removed and supported to fill the one lead recreation assistant position at the Iron Trail Motors Event Center.
So moved.
Move to approve by Counselor Johnson. Is there support? Support by Counselor Freely. Is there any further discussion? Yeah, I'm sorry. I apologize. Supported by Counselor Barnzelli. You don't look alike. No, Counselor Barnzelli. Yeah. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
It was moved and supported to approve the hiring the library clerk technology position.
So moved.
Move to approve by Counselor Johnson. Is there support? Support by Counselor Barnzelli. Is there any further discussion? Counselor Motley.
So I will not be supporting this, and I just want to state why. Currently, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe currently at the library, we have 7 full-time employees, 2 part-time, 2 casual, and 1 intern for a total of 12. Okay. And the reason I can't support any more hires right now at the library in light of the current budget, I'm going to bring in the great city of Hibbing for an example. Twice the population, over 16,000 to our 8,200 roughly. They have 6 full-time employees. 6. We have 7 full-time, 2 part-time, 2 casual, and 1 intern. So I just wanted to state that for this council. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Counselor Motley. So it has been moved and supported. Is there any further discussion? Counselor Paulson.
Thank you, Mayor. Again, I just want to have a clarification where this is spending money. It's a position. It's a new position.
The reclassification of a position that was already, the library clerk was already there. We just changed the job title and the job description and reduced the wage.
Okay,
The library clerk has been budgeted for years.
thank you.
Point of order, Mayor.
Yes, Counselor Johnson.
We're on 91K, which is a lead rec assistant, not the library.
We already did the lead rec.
Did we?
We did
I
that.
apologize. It's catchy, Mayor.
I'm with
It's
you.
very catchy.
I'm with you, Counselor Johnson. I'm with you. Okay, thank you.
But I do have comment on the library as well.
Okay, please, comment.
I have been in both libraries, and the library in Hibbing has 1 central desk at 1 central entrance. Very easy to staff differently. Comparing the 2 buildings is, it's like comparing our fire department to the Pike Sandy Britt Volunteer Fire Department. There is zero comparison in the services provided in what we do. And the library, again, is a place that is utilized by anybody at any time for any reason. So not filling that position will severely impact folks who have limited resources. So I think that we need to continue to support our library and the people in our community who do not have access to anything, some of them, and support our staff in the phenomenal job they do there.
Okay, thank you. Any further discussion? First, Councillor Freely, but then we'll back over to Councillor Motley. Councillor Freely.
So quick clarification, this is an existing position that's been retitled
Yep, with a pay decrease.
with a pay decrease, but it's an on-staff person.
We've always had a library clerk that used to be called library clerk media. We changed it to library clerk technology and reduced the wage.
Thank you.
Councillor Motley.
I just want to reiterate, Hibbing has twice the taxpayers and they have half the staff in their library. At what point are we going to slow down on spending in this city? It has to stop. It's not fair to the taxpayers. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Motley. So it has been moved and supported. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Roll call, please.
Motley.
No.
Friedli.
Aye.
Paulson. No. Beyondich. Johnson.
Yes.
Aaron Sally. Coffee.
No. Yeah, 3-4. So I'd like to make a comment. It's not that I don't think that they deserve the position to have it done, but, you know, we have to decide where we're going to be at, and I don't think we should just not fill a position ever, but we should wait until the end of the year, see where we're at, and revisit that position. I'm not saying that we should eliminate altogether, but to revisit, and some of these other positions that we're going to be talking about later on down the road, same thing. And I understand the issues there, and I don't know how hard the library works, and I know how many programs that they provide, and Councilor John makes some valid points, but, so, it's 4-3. Did not pass. Next item.
It was moved and supported to hire a mechanic for the Public Works Department.
So moved.
Move to approve by Councilor Motley. Is there support? Is there support?
I'll support for discussion.
Support by Councilor Freely for discussion. Further discussion, Councilor Freely.
So this is not an existing position, it's one that needs
It's
to
an
be
existing
filled.
position. We've always had 5. We have not filled this position since the employee got hurt about 3 years ago.
And Jim did say that we have been contracting out for large-scale jobs, that if we had this position in place, we would be saving money on contracting out, so. I
Correct.
guess-
And we're not doing any preventive maintenance yet on any of our snow equipment because we don't have enough staff. Snow is coming.
And I did see, I thought somewhere that like for other services, Public Works had already budgeted, what, $40,000, or was it that much? Something like that. That would offset this cost then? Or potentially be able to use that money elsewhere? All right, thank you.
Okay, this position has been moved and supported for approval. Is there further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
It was moved and supported to approve filling the parking monitor position.
Part-time position, up to 20 hours a week, flexible schedule. You had indicated earlier in the committee of the whole meeting that this position pays for itself through fees and enforcement.
Correct.
Thank you.
So moved.
Councilor Beyondich moves to approve. Is there support?
I'll support for discussion.
Is there support by Councilor Freely for further discussion? Further discussion, Councilor Freely.
I thought we had been given some data last week that indicated that over the course of the last 5 years, this position did not produce revenue. It actually was about $5,000 of expenditures over revenue, if I recall correctly.
Position hasn't been filled continuously for the last 5 years.
So the volatile nature of the hiring caused that potentially. And I agree with Scott that, there's needs to be something done to try and keep the streets clear. And so for the sake of public safety, as opposed to revenue production, I'm going to support this, but I do have some reluctance with regard to the position. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. It has been moved and supported to approve filling the parking monitor position, a part-time position up to 20 hours a week. It's moved and supported. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
It was moved and supported to approve a parade permit for the 5th Annual Twilight Holiday Parade to be held on November 18th, 2023.
So moved.
Moved to approve by Councillor Motley. Is there support? Support. By Councillor Johnson. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
No further items from that meeting.
Thank you. Item 10, Commission Liaison Reports. Does any councilor have a liaison report they'd like to provide today? Councillor Johnson.
Thank you, Mayor. The Human Rights Commission met last Tuesday with 4 of the appointed members, with 1 position still open. They have already started working on a November event for Native American Heritage Month. They are very excited to be moving forward, and we are still looking for 1 more member of the commission. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Johnson. Any other commission liaison reports tonight? Seeing none, we'll move to our department head reports. I'll move from left to right. Britt, any more reports to be disseminated today? Our city attorney, Brian Lindsay, any report?
No report, Mayor.
Thank you, Brian. Pam, you have anything? No. How about our finance director? Apparently not. She's passing the microphone over there. Okay. And our planning director, Jenny Boubny. Jenny?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. It's not a direct department report, but I did want to say that I attended an event at the ITMAC recently last week. It was a wonderful event. It was an equity summit that was hosted by Norseman, and so I want to thank Norseman for that. I also wanted to mention that it was very well attended, and staff were amazing. It was all hands on deck. There was a lot of moving parts, and I was very impressed and very grateful to have attended that. So just wanted to mention that, and thank you.
Good. Thank you. Thank you very much. Any other department head reports? Please come forward. Mr. Brian Silber, our Park and Rec Director. Brian?
Good evening, Council. Last week, if you were paying attention to the Rink Live, which is a website and Facebook page that covers hockey throughout the upper Midwest, you would have noticed that we were mentioned in 2 separate articles. The first article that we were mentioned in had the tagline that the youth hockey championships will be played as far north as Virginia, Minnesota, as the state of Minnesota last week announced that we will officially be hosting the Bantam A State Hockey Championship Tournament this coming March. Then the second article that was written about our facility is about an event that is a little bit sooner than March. It's actually 2.5 weeks from now. On October 28th, the Minnesota Wilderness will be hosting a junior hockey game at the Iron Trail Motors Event Center Saturday, the 28th at 7 o'clock. So we encourage everybody to come out for the first hockey game that will have adult beverages available at it in our facility. So we're excited to work with them and work with the Sawmill and our other partners in providing a great evening of entertainment. I will even encourage you to wear a Halloween costume that night before you go out to the Halloween costumes at the bar later that evening. But just wanted to thank the council for their continued support of our facility and our programs. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. Jody Grabanowski, our library director, for a report. Jody?
Hi, Council. So the big thing y'all need to remember is on Saturday, it is a solar eclipse. So just hopefully it'll be clear and you can see it. If it isn't clear, we do have events at the library. So it starts at 10:30, ends at 1:30. We will have stuff in the event room. We do have the glasses. Please don't look at the sun without the glasses. We have glasses that we did through a grant process, and we are asking people to keep them because the next one is in April of 2024. We do have story time this week. Next week is kind of a big week just because it is MEA on the 19th and 20th. So we do have baby story time next week. We do have Clue after school, early out, as y'all know. Virginia gets out early on Wednesdays. And we have our escape room. We still have a few slots left if you want to sign up for the escape room. And it is a Clue escape room. There is easy and hard. So if you have young ones, you can do the easy one. And to end our Clue week, we have the Saturday matinee of Clue. So the following week, we have a lot of different programs happening. And there'll be some added on just as from some of our partners for events. So our website is totally up to date. And if you would like to have any questions about these events, please give us a call at 218-748-7525.
Thank you, Jody. Okay, any other department head reports? No one else in the room? We'll move on to council reports. Does any council like to give a report this evening? First, we'll go from left to right. Councilor Paulson, then over to Councilor Motley, and then over to Councilor Johnson. Councilor Paulson.
Thank you, Mayor. I don't have an actual report, but I just wanted to ask a question. When I had said no big trucks and we had that conversation, do I need to make a motion on the no big trucks going down? Do I need to make a formal motion to that? Okay, so we're good to go. Okay, thank you, Mayor.
Yep, thank you.
Contractors, the general contractor, Charles Anderson, to stay on the truck routes. Don't use these other streets, especially our brand new ones. So, yep.
Thank you. Councilor Motley?
I don't have a report either, but I was just curious. We had an updated housing study done months ago, and I believe the last thing we talked about was plots of land where we could do housing. And so whatever happened, or when are we going to talk about those plots of land?
Jenny, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Mayor. Yep, I do have an update on that. So we did have a little hiccup with getting those maps created, and I'm meeting tomorrow with W.A. Fisher on creating on those maps. I'm not sure what that meeting is going to entail and what the workaround is going to be to provide those, but it is still in process, so that's why I haven't provided any updates to that. But thank you for letting me remind you.
Very cool. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. It'll be nice to have those maps to see what land's available and how we can utilize what little land we have available to establish a housing plan moving forward. Okay, thank you. Anybody else? Councilor Johnson.
Thank you. I'm going to speak for the people that use the library and express my disappointment. My family and I probably go to the library at least once every other week, and that we are not supporting one of the most important facilities in our town by providing them with the staff they need to get what they need done. I just need to put that on the record. That truly is disheartening as we're moving forward because of the population that is served by that facility and the people who probably don't vote, the people who won't voice their concerns, the people who don't have our personal phone numbers to tell us what they think. So, I'm concerned about what it's going to look like moving forward to the rest of the year. Again, this was a budgeted item for this year. It has nothing to do with next year's spending at this time. And I have to say, it is not the Hibbing Library. We are the City of Virginia. It is a Virginia Public Library, and it is utilized by people from all over the place, especially now on Saturdays. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Johnson. I just have one thing I'd like to say, and Brian's in the back room and his staff. I know we're getting beat up pretty good about the Ontario Moyes Event Center and all the issues related to that. And there was a recent editorial in the paper by someone who thought that that's a big albatross, that we should never built it in the first place. So I think that's wrong. And I think this is a great, we have to move forward. But then what I want to say is that I attended the Laurentian Chamber Gala event up at, unfortunately, it was held at Fortune Bay, which was held at the Iron Terre-Moise Event Center, but it was held at Fortune Bay this year. It was well attended, and the Iron Terre-Moise Event Center was nominated for the Big Business Award, and invited to go up there. And so Brian and some of his staff were up there at no cost to the city. And we waited with bated breath for the announcement, which was the final award. And Essentia Health won the Big Business Award and just eked out the Iron Terre-Moise Event Center. So I just want to say thank you for whoever nominated for the Iron Terre-Moise Event Center. There was a lot of really good things said about that facility and the brightness they have for the future. So thank you, Brian, and your staff. And Brianna's out there in the back, so thank you very much for everything. So that being said, is there anything else to come before the council meeting before we adjourn? Thank you, everybody, for hard work. It's been a long day, a very stressful day, but thank you for doing the work that you do. Thank you, staff, for everything you've done for us. We will stand adjourned to our next council meeting, which is scheduled for Tuesday, October 24th, 2023 at 5:30 p.m. here in the council chambers. Thanks again. Thank you. We stand adjourned. Good night.